This is the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief, keeping you informed about the happenings in Annapolis and the area. Local news, local sports, local events, local opinion, and of course, local weather. The Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief starts now.
Good morning. It's Monday, September 23rd, 2019. This is John Frenaye, and this is your Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief. Kind of a weird turn of events that happened last week is carrying over into this week. Now, on Wednesday, Anne Arundel County Police were called to a report of shots fired up in Odenton. This was in the area of Commodore Drive and Langton Farm Circle. They did arrest one adult suspect, Calvin Edward Johnson, 34, and he lived on Langton Farm Circle. During their investigation, police found that the shooting was connected to a fight and a robbery that had happened earlier in the day, and they did find evidence of the robbery in Johnson's home. They also found a loaded pistol hidden underneath a bush in his backyards. Police are still looking for a teen. He's a black male, 16 to 18 years old, about 5 foot 5 inches tall, average build with short hair. But as a result of this shooting, the football game at Meade High School against Old Mill High School was canceled on Friday night. Initially, they didn't have any makeup day, but then they decided they were going to play it again tonight, only they weren't going to allow any fans or spectators. Bob Moser, who's the spokesman for Anne Arundel County Public Schools, said, "We want to make sure our student athletes can play the games, and if that meant not having spectators, then it was a concession we were not happy about, but were willing to make." Everybody is a little bit coy about whether the teen suspect is related to Meade School or Old Mill, but Moser did say that some of the people involved in the shooting had ties to Meade. So that game is going to be held tonight at Meade High School with just the team, coaches, trainers, county and military police, and school officials that have direct involvement with the game. Anne Arundel County Police have also said that they are going to have an increased presence both at the football games as well as at the school. A very serious crash down in South County. This is on Sands Road in Lothian. 4 teens were rushed to area shock trauma hospitals, 2 by helicopter. Happened on Friday night at about 9 o'clock, and 2 of the victims were trapped in the wreckage for about 20 minutes. 2 were flown to hospitals, one to R. Adams Cowley Shock Trauma in Baltimore, the other to University of Maryland Prince George Hospital Center, both trauma centers, and they both had critical and life-threatening injuries. The 2 others were taken to the University of Maryland Prince George's Hospital Center by ambulance with serious but not believed to be life-threatening injuries. Some good news and some cool news all together in one little story. Anne Arundel County State's Attorney Ann Colt Lightis announced on Friday that Fred Lee Frampton received a 55-year sentence in prison for first-degree murder of Michael Temple. Frampton did plead guilty to this in July of 2019, and actually he was given a life sentence, but they suspended all of it but 55 years. What's very cool about this is that Frampton was caught by DNA. All stems back to February of 2010 when there was a home invasion and a shooting in the 500 block of Williamsburg Lane in Odenton, and Michael Anthony Temple was suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. He was ultimately paralyzed from his injuries, and on June 18th of 2015, 5 years later, he died to complications from the gunshot wounds, and the chief medical examiner did rule his death a homicide. Fast forward a couple more years to July of 2018, Parabon Nanolabs provided Anne Arundel County Police with a genealogy report based on the DNA that was submitted to them. And then a few months later, they called back and said they actually had a name to match that DNA. Police went out and they were able to capture some of that DNA when Mr. Frampton went to a 7-Eleven in Crofton. He threw his coffee cup on the ground and police picked it up, tested the DNA, and it matched perfectly, and they went and arrested him on November 1st of 2018. The home invasion was actually carried out by 2 people, Frampton as well as Jonathan Ludwig. Police were also honing in on Ludwig from his DNA, but he passed away in March of 2018 from an overdose before police were able to arrest him. So good news that we've got a murderer off the streets for 55 years, and pretty cool news that it was captured by DNA. And in some good news nationwide, Walmart said on Friday that it is going to end the sales of e-cigarettes at its U.S. locations. This decision comes amid growing medical concern about the effects of vaping. Currently, there are about 530 vaping-related lung illnesses, and on Friday, a Missouri man became the 8th person to die from the ailments. New York is also taking a stand on that, and they announced emergency regulations to quickly ban the sale of flavored e-cigarettes, and state health officials approved that ban. Michigan announced this month that it's also going to prohibit the products, and last week the Trump administration said it would move to ban the sale of most flavored e-cigarettes. All right, that is about it for the top news today. Please make sure you check out eyeonannapolis.net throughout the day because we do update it throughout the day. If you didn't get a chance to listen to our Legacy Business series on Pip's Hot Dogs, give that a listen. That was a good one. I love Pips. I love Ryan. I love their dogs. And I love what they do with their standby dogs. So you wanted to give that a listen. Also, if you're curious about Crystal Spring or the village at Providence Point, depending on how long you've been following this saga, which is the senior living facility that's proposed for basically the corner of Spa Road and Forest Drive, you want to give a listen to the Maryland Crabs podcast because last Thursday we released an episode where we talked with Larry Bradshaw, who's the CEO of National Lutheran Communities and Services. And you might be surprised at exactly where that project stands. All right, hang tight. We've got George Young with your local DMV weather forecast. He's coming up in just 1 minute.
September 28th, the second annual Twist and Stout Festival at Quiet Waters Park along the shores of the South River. Twist and Stout, a Maryland wine, craft beer, food, and arts festival presented by the Anne Arundel County Department of Recreation and Parks along with the Maryland Wineries Association. Sample dozens of craft beers and Maryland wines. There's music all day starring the Groove Spot Band, along with the Naptown Brass Band and Vertigo Red. Watch the Plein Air Painters and shop dozens of artisans, crafters, and food trucks. Tickets are on sale now at twistandstout.org. That's TWISTANDSTOUT.org. September 28th, Twist and Stout at Quiet Waters Park, noon till 6. Tickets at twistandstout.org. Going out? You need the most up-to-date local weather. Here's George Young from DMV Weather in Annapolis with today's forecast.
Hey everyone, this is George with DMV Weather, and this is your Eye on Annapolis forecast for Monday, September 23rd. Welcome to the first day of astronomical autumn, which will feel anything but fall-like, as high temps will be in the mid-80s to maybe even low 90s later this afternoon. But a weak front will move through the region later today or tonight, bringing a slight chance of showers or storms across the region, but also bringing much nicer temps for at least the next couple of days, with highs in the upper 70s to lower maybe even mid-80s in spots. But in a week filled with sunshine, the expectation is for temps to jump back up again Thursday and Friday, and likely through the weekend with highs in the 82 to 88 degree range each day, with very little chance of rain throughout the entire period, in what is shaping up to be one of the driest Septembers in recorded history for the region. Okay, that's it for today. This is George Young of DMV Weather. Make it a great day out there, and be sure to get our free app on all of your devices by searching for DCMD VA Weather in the Apple or Google App Stores, and also follow us on Facebook and Twitter and on our website at dmvweather.com so you can always stay weather informed.
When a ring from the United States Naval Academy comes into Zachary's for a center stone, it always makes us wonder, where's this one going? Where's this one been? A nuclear sub in the North Atlantic? A carrier deck in the South Pacific? The moon? 52 astronauts are Academy graduates, from Iwo Jima to Okinawa, Corregidor to the Coral Sea, Midway to the Persian Gulf, Congress to the White House. These rings go where America goes. 73 that went to war were awarded the Medal of Honor. But wherever they go, wherever they may serve, our admiration goes with them.
Zachary's. Online at zacharysjewelers.com. More than a jewelry store, a jeweler.
You've been listening to the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief. Tell your friends and colleagues this is the podcast where you can keep up on the latest with what's going on in Annapolis. And also tell them about our website, eyeonannapolis.net, where you can find even more information. This podcast comes to you every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m., keeping you informed with the Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief. And take a moment to listen to our other podcast, The Maryland Crabs, released every Thursday at noon.